Hello and welcome to the next podcast. I apologize for the exceptionally scruffy beard, but that is the nature of the passage of time or something. Yes, this is a one that is going to be a little bit different from the last one. I seem to say that every single time. We are in the Black Void once again, and this is where we shall remain for the remainder of this podcast because this is not going to be a positive one or a hopeful one. This is the arbitrary me mentioning how long I've been on this damn site kind of post. And I made a post, realized that posts don't work on YouTube anymore. Nobody reads them unless it's clickbait. And yeah, now it's a video. So I spent 10 years on YouTube. And I don't just mean watching videos, that's quite the achievement in itself, I suppose, but I spent 10 years making videos. And some of those videos were political when I was a bit more edgy. Some of those videos were ASMR. Some of those were gaming. Some of those were politics, as I say. And these were across multiple different channels, multiple different kind of areas that I was interested in at the time, and very quickly became disinterested in those areas for one reason or another. The reason for me mentioning this is not just a brag, though it is impressive to do anything on and off for 10 years. It is to say that I am deeply, deeply worn out. That isn't to say I don't love making videos. Of course I do. I've heard people try to categorize making videos as it's either you're making them every day or you might as well not bother, or something similar to that. Or another toxic one was something along the lines of, if the reason you're doing it isn't for the love of the thing, then what's the point? There are lots of reasons why a person can make videos, and I think personally, anybody who's trying to be a guru, anybody who's trying to be, sound intelligent about this, they're full of shit, and they don't know what they're talking about. But as I've went through and done these videos, as I've went through and done a lot of these different things, I have realized that YouTube is a really shit place to be. And it's a really shit place to be because it doesn't reward you for the right things. Way back in the annals of time and history, there was a time when YouTube rewarded pure views. That wasn't a twisted statistic, that was just the statistic in general. And the view was the view. Now we're going back to that, except it's not actually true. On paper, there will be a view for the public, which is anybody who's clicked a video any time for any amount of and watched for any amount of time. Sorry for explaining that really badly. Any amount of time that a person has clicked and watched the video, it will count as a view. But behind the scenes, we get another statistic, which is engaged views. And that can be affected by a whole other different series of factors. That's how YouTube wants to do it. But YouTube always is really bad about rewarding evenly. You produce a good video, well, you will be punished in the next one. It's a little bit like if you've ever played in a lot of more popular video games, Overwatch, for example, or Call of Duty, skill-based matchmaking. The better you're doing, the more you get punished. And the more you get punished, the lower you go in the ranks. And the more you get lower in the ranks, the more you can rise in the ranks and feel like you're having a good time. It is putting people in a kind of bipole, I would say, of emotions. Deeply negative, deeply positive, deeply negative, deeply positive. That brings us on to the next topic, which is the toxic reward loop of YouTube. When I'm cynical on YouTube, and I sometimes am, I get rewarded for it. I get views, I get updates, I get shares, I get all of the kinds of interesting things that YouTubers are supposed to crave and be addicted to. Unfortunately, I've been doing this for 10 years. I don't care about that. I genuinely don't. The only thing I care about is direct proof causal interaction. In other words, comments and likes. And even then, bots exist. I've had bot comments on my very tiny channel, and I just don't care. When I'm talking about something like Digimon, Digimon Up, I think it was called. I can't even remember at this point. Feels like it was a lifetime ago I did that video. So much just constantly is happening in the TCG scene and in my life in general. But whenever I do a negative video, it attracts the kinds of people that will really agree with me on that one specific point. And then they go, well, if you're chasing that particular metric, you're going to have a pretty miserable time, because those people won't agree with you on everything. And when they disagree with you on something, they're going to get a very sharp shock, I suppose. And as a result, everything just kind of gets messy. You end up with people who are following and subscribing and are silent and don't view your videos, or you get people who are following and subscribing who are completely opposed to everything else that you've said and don't agree with you as a person, perhaps because of decisions you've made, perhaps because of things that you've said, perhaps because they don't like your face. Who knows? Whenever I post my authentic passions, like sorcery deck breakdowns, there are genuinely so few sorcery deck breakdowns. I get some views, and that's really good. You expected me to say nothing, didn't you? No, there is positive in this world. I get some views, and I'm really happy and really proud of those videos, because they are, whether they are pre-constructed or I've already made them and are showing them off, like a video that's coming up very soon, I'm quite proud of what I've made. I'm quite proud of the deck that I've made. It might turn out to be absolutely, completely terrible in a competitive setting, but that's the risk you take when you make decks, I suppose. So, yeah, it is positive. There is some positive there. However, compared to the rage bait, compared to anything that is negative, compared to comparisons, negative comparisons and things like that, my passions don't get shown anywhere near as much as the videos that are quite either vitriolic or directly negative. And my brain doesn't exactly work normally, shall we say. I am neurodivergent in at least one way that I know of, possibly multiple ways. I am not running human OS the same as a lot of people are. My brain sees what is going on, sees the system, and goes, hold on, this is manipulation. This is cold hard manipulation. It was manipulation right back at the beginning. Before AI and all of these different things, when it was just essentially rawdogging the algorithm. Yeah, it was rough back then. It's more rough now, though. Mostly because you've got to deal with the next point, which is the AI matrix. Or I guess it's more accurate to call it the Patrix, because it's not good. I gotta be honest, it's not good. The entire system that we find ourselves in. It's not the kind of system I think women would generally produce, or indeed men who are fucking sane would produce. It's the kind of system that people who don't care about people produce, and that's a topic for another day, I guess, and perhaps another channel. But I think, in general, I'm kind of struggling with the constant moving of the goalposts with YouTube. I'm struggling with a lot of the kind of AI content taking a lot of views, locking a lot of people in, and the ridiculous kind of over the top, exaggerated showroom kind of, well, if you look at the statistics like this, it looks this way. If you look at them like this, it looks this way. Kind of studio metrics that we get behind the scenes in YouTube. And all of that is adding up to a lot of burnout in me. And I suffered from burnout not too long ago. I left for a little while and came back a bit. But this time feels quite different, I think. This time feels like it's something's changed. I'm finding myself more exhausted with it all. Finding myself more struggling with all of this. This kind of craziness of YouTube. And it is worth mentioning as well, there have been so many kind of ideas that I've tried behind the scenes. Ideas like a Pal World playthrough, not the TCG, the actual game, because like I say, I was an early adopter of that. And lots of tiny frustrations as well. I was going to sort of do a review of this old 90s toy. I won't put up the image of it because this is not that kind of video. This is a podcast with my face. This is just low to no effort. I'll do a ripple edit and that's it. Edit out the silence so that you save your sanity. But there was this toy called a BioBites, and it was an electronic toy. I'd spotted it when I was with my partner and my kids, and she was like, "Oh, that's really shit. Like that's what you played with as a kid." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is what we loved." And I was playing with it and in the shop, and clearly somebody else thought it was good too, and they picked it up before I did the next day. Oh well, there goes that video idea. That really did knock me a bit because I specifically left the house and tried to get it because I wanted to make sure that it was there available for the video, and I was going to try and get a Pox as well. Pox, Hasbro designed, weird shaped, almost I don't know how you do, banana shaped, I guess you could say. Look it up, POX, by Hasbro. I was going to get one of those as well because that was a childhood toy, and the prices have gone through the roof because the collector tax is a real thing. So all of these compounding kind of factors just... That was my phone falling. We're keeping it in. All of these compounding factors have led to kind of knock-on effects and other kind of concerns that I've had with making YouTube videos in general, which is I feel like there is so much more that I could be sharing than just TCG stuff. I don't mean that in a negative way. Anybody who covers solely TCG stuff, the Rudies of the world, anything like that, all power to them. But I find that the TCG scene is like, it's kind of hit and miss. I do have a rather spicy video in the pipeline about such things. Yeah, can't wait for that one. People are gonna love me criticizing the idea of community, I'm sure. But anyway, there's so much more that I could be talking about, I feel. And I've said this for a while on the channel, and then just not said anything and not done anything about it. because I have been nervous and busy. Finishing a master's, graduating from a master's, realizing that I am quite tired of the entire system and quite tired of YouTube, to tell you the truth. It's led me on a path that I'm starting to go down now. And that is, well, I mentioned before briefly that I'm a writer and I want to rewrite my book for a second time. That's a whole other video if you're interested, but that is something that I'm quite interested in doing. I got 65,000 plus words into the manuscript of writing it, and now I'm taking it all the way back to storyboarding and rewriting it entirely, word for word, not just copying, actually rewriting it. No AI, no bullshit. And now I've got a lot more time on my hands. I've got freedom, finally. Kids are obviously going back to school, so there's going to be less demands for time in general. And of course, writing is something that I'm passionate about. If it wasn't, I wouldn't have written 65,000 words without using any kind of assistance or editorial or anything like that. It's something that I want to talk about more on the channel. I want to talk about the whole process of being a amateur writer, the differences between writing for science and writing for yourself and ultimately for other people, I guess. It's nice to have other people see your stuff, I guess. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here on YouTube. So that is something that I want to document on this channel. I want to talk about what it's like to write out there, wild kind of merge between sci-fi and fantasy, featuring a man who is deeply bored with his office job and finds himself in a world that is very, very not like this one. So yeah, that's one of the things that I'm going to talk about. As well, I am not going to clickbait. I'm not going to optimize. I'm not going to hyper edit videos. I'm going to edit them a little bit more than this, actually, but I'm not going to hyper edit them. I don't want to please YouTube. I want YouTube displeased. The more displeased YouTube is, the happier I feel, because, well, somebody's seeing it, but it isn't the entirety of the population. It isn't the whole world. I don't want every man and his dog to see this video if this isn't their kind of thing, because for a start, that doesn't really help anything, does it? That doesn't help with understanding any of the problems of YouTube. So, and fixing the like count situation as well, where people just click for thumbnails. I will do thumbnails. I will not do clickbait thumbnails. I've not really done too much clickbait thumbnails. Maybe the Agumon where he's sad is kind of clickbaity, but it's fine. It's just YouTube literally says you have to make evocative, kind of, if you can, bordering on sexy thumbnails, otherwise people don't click. That's just the nature of the game. But I'm not going to be overly focusing on that, is my point. I'm going to be sticking to doing what is comfortable for me and not destroying myself in doing so, not over editing. But if I do fancy doing an editing technique that I've not done before, like I'm about to try the ripple edit technique, I'll let you know if it worked. If it did, there will be jump cuts all throughout the video. If it didn't, sorry for the long form content, I guess. But TCG stuff is still going to happen. I have done a proper actual playthrough of not TCG, but of Flashpoint with my friend. built my own army and everything. If that's something you're interested in seeing, please do let me know in the comments. I'll push it up in the in the schedule that I'm yet to write. But yeah, in general, when I started making this script, I was feeling pretty shit, to tell you the truth, and I kind of still am. It really sucks when things suck, and it sucks when things are like difficult. Losing out on a video idea, never fun. Losing out on a chance to talk about something you loved just so much as a kid, it's not fun. Looking for alternatives and finding that they don't exist, say for a few units at an exorbitant price, that sucks too. It's hard, and it won't always be like that. But I think in general, I need to take things at my own pace. I need to realize personally, as a person, not just as a creator, that I am human. Which is cliche as fuck, but you know. And I need to realize that I can't do everything always. Sometimes ideas just need to not be done. And that doesn't mean they'll never be done. But it does mean that that itch to create might grow a little for a while, and then it kind of fizzles out. One more thing. I am a scientist. I have a master's, as I said. Again, not bragging. My subject area is biology, and specifically microbiology. I thought I'd add this to the end just in case. If you would like cool and interesting videos translating some of the coolest papers out there, I can do that. I can read science, scientific language, I guess, and translate what is going on in some papers. That could be another way that I help with the itch that I've got deep within me to kind of science educate. Like I said, I did teaching degree twice, and both time everybody on it was arseholes and didn't give me the qualification. It's fine, life happens. But I still feel the urge to teach and to pass on knowledge and to pass on the gifts that I've been given, either earned or built. And if you want some science content, I can do some science content. Go over some research papers and translate them to readable human English. Yes, I told you this would be a variety channel. I wasn't kidding. But anyway, thank you for listening.